Stop for seconds, because green card rules are not changing daily, but confusion is spreading faster than facts in 2026. Every week I see viral posts promising new bans, new travel blocks, and new loan limits, and most are incomplete. If you are a lawful permanent resident, those posts can make normal life feel risky, even when nothing changed legally. Today I will explain what is actually happening, what is only being discussed, and what you should do next, now. I am Fernando, and you are watching US Policy Brief, where we translate policy noise into clear steps today together. This video is general information, not legal advice, so for complex histories, you should consult a qualified attorney before acting. The updates I am covering run from late February through April 2026, and they touch business, travel, and applications too. Some items are confirmed agency guidance, while others are proposed changes that could still shift after public feedback later on. That distinction matters, because a rumor can push people to make bad choices, like selling assets or canceling trips suddenly. When you understand the baseline rules for permanent residence, you can spot exaggerations and protect your status calmly everywhere now. We will talk about money first, because business owners are hearing scary claims about SBA-style financing eligibility rules changing. Then we will cover travel screening, public charge misunderstandings, and the one risk that surprises green card holders during filings. Before we dive in, remember that permanent residents are lawful members of this country, and the law still recognizes that. Many policies that feel hostile are really administrative filters aimed at fraud, but those filters can accidentally hit honest people. If you own a business, you built it through taxes, payroll, and risk, and you deserve clear rules to plan. If you travel to see family, you should not have to fear secondary inspection just because you visited the region. And if you are applying for a green card, you need to understand which rules apply to applicants, not residents. With that foundation, let's start with the topic that is creating the biggest surprise for immigrant entrepreneurs this spring season. Many viewers ask whether green card holders can qualify for SBA-backed loans, and the answer depends on the program. Historically, several SBA programs allowed lawful permanent residents, but required that applicants be legally present and able to work here. In early 2026, business owners are hearing about tighter citizenship ownership language in certain lending guidance and bank policies updates. Some lenders may choose to limit eligibility to citizens to reduce compliance risk, even if federal rules remain broader today. So, the practical advice is not panic, but verification. Ask the lender for written requirements and confirm the SBA program. If you are applying soon, prepare documents proving lawful status, business registration, taxes, and operating agreements showing ownership percentages clearly. If you co-own a company with other immigrants, review your ownership structure, because some financing sources look at ownership. If you have citizen partners, confirm who holds controlling interest, and whether loan covenants require certain voting rights or guarantees. Also remember that private loans, credit unions, and community development institutions may have different standards than SBA-style products often. Do not rush to transfer ownership just to qualify, because changing ownership can create tax issues and raise immigration questions. Instead, speak with a business attorney or accountant, get a letter from the lender, and keep copies for your records. A green card gives freedom to build, but you still must plan around changing compliance culture and risk scoring models. Now let's move to travel, because this is where many permanent residents experience stress, even when they did nothing wrong. There is no law in 2026 that bans green card holders from leaving the United States for normal trips abroad. But there is a noticeable trend of more questioning at airports, more secondary inspection, and more time spent waiting there. This trend is often triggered by travel to places under heightened screening, or by patterns that resemble living abroad full-time. If you take one short vacation and come back, you are usually fine. but repeated long absences invite questions quickly. In 2026, officers have better access to entry and exit data, so your travel pattern is visible in seconds now. The core rule has not changed. Permanent residence assumes the United States is your primary home, not a visiting address. Trips under 6 months are usually safer. Trips over 6 months raise questions, and trips near 1 year are hardest. If you expect a long absence, consider a re-entry permit before you leave, and keep ties like housing and taxes. Carry a folder that shows your life is based here, such as a lease, pay stubs, tax transcript, and insurance. If you are sent to secondary inspection, stay calm, answer truthfully, and do not guess about dates or addresses ever. Most importantly, never sign any abandonment form just to go home faster, because that can end residency voluntarily immediately too. Another topic people fear is device searches, because some travelers report being asked to unlock phones at entry points sometimes. CBP has broad border authority, and searches are more common for visitors, but permanent residents can also be questioned there. You have rights, yet refusing cooperation may extend the inspection, so plan ahead and keep your content and documents clean. Do not carry fake papers. Do not store false statements, and do not let anyone else message from your accounts. If an officer asks about your trip, give a simple explanation and show your return plan and U.S. ties clearly. Remember that delays are often the goal, not punishment, so leave larger buffers between flights and avoid tight connections always. Now let's address public charge, because many green card holders hear that phrase and assume it can cancel their status. Public charge rules mainly affect people applying for certain benefits or applying for a green card, not most existing residents. If you already have a green card, using eligible benefits does not trigger removal, but fraud or false claims can. The bigger risk is for applicants who are still adjusting status, because officers may weigh support history and sponsor income. So if you are in the process, get advice before you apply for benefits, and keep documentation of eligibility rules. And if someone tells you public charge affects all green card holders automatically, treat that as misinformation and verify sources. Another anxiety driver in 2026 is the idea USCIS can reopen old green cards and take them back at will. The law does allow rescission in limited situations, but it follows procedures and limits, and most people never face it. What is more common is that a citizenship application triggers deeper review of how you got your green card originally. If there were inconsistencies in a marriage case, an officer may ask questions years later, especially if interviews were waived. That does not mean the case is doomed, but it means you should keep filings and evidence of the relationship. If you know a past mistake exists, do not hide it. Get legal guidance before filing for citizenship this year. Next is a policy trend, not a single rule. Governments try to speed visas for investors and high-skill workers. In 2026, several proposals in public discussion emphasize economic contribution, and that can make family-based categories feel ignored again. Even without new laws, agencies can prioritize certain filings for premium processing expansions and by shifting staff to employment queues. For families in long preference categories, the best defense is speed and accuracy, because missed deadlines create extra years waiting. Submit documents early, answer NVC checklists carefully, and keep police certificates and passports current to avoid restarting the line later. If your case is far outside normal times, a mandamus lawsuit is sometimes discussed, but it requires legal assessment first. A lawsuit is not magic, and no lawyer should promise outcomes, but it can push action on delayed file. For green card holders, the bigger message is that policy is rewarding the prepared, not the distracted or the late. If you want to become a citizen, plan your application like a project. Gather records, confirm travel, and review taxes. If you stay a permanent resident, protect residency by limiting long absences, keeping a home base, and filing taxes correctly. Many enforcement fears begin with small things, like unpaid tickets, missed mail, or address changes that were never updated properly. So now I want to give you a simple action plan for late winter and spring 2026 to reduce risk. Step 1 is documents. Keep your green card, passport, and state ID valid and store copies in 2 safe places. Step 2 is taxes. File every year as a resident, because tax history is powerful evidence of residence for USCIS. Step 3 is travel planning. If you might stay abroad longer than 6 months, consider a re-entry permit before leaving. Step 4 is money. If you seek business financing, confirm eligibility in writing and avoid last-minute restructuring without advice. Step 5 is clean records. Pay tickets, resolve warrants, and appear in court when required, because bench warrants create trouble. Step 6 is caution with forms. Never sign anything you do not understand at border or in interviews. Ask questions. If you are close to citizenship eligibility, consider applying, because citizens have stronger protections for travel and enforcement changes overall. But do not rush an N-400 if you have unresolved issues like arrests, tax mistakes, or a marriage record. If you are unsure, request your file through FOIA or talk with counsel before you put yourself under oath again. Also, update your address with USCIS when required, because missed notices can lead to denied applications for abandonment or failure. For parents and spouses sponsoring relatives, keep your income evidence current and avoid gaps that can cause affidavit issues later. And for anyone scared by headlines, remember that most changes are slow and your preparation matters more than predictions today. Let me summarize the 5 themes we covered: financing confusion, travel screening, device requests, applicant benefit rules, and deeper reviews. None of these themes mean green card holders are suddenly unwanted, but they do mean the system expects sharper compliance. If you treat permanent residence like permanent life here, with taxes, home ties, and careful travel, you reduce risk dramatically. If you treat it like a travel document while living abroad, you increase questions, delays, and loss through legal processes. My goal is to keep you informed without panic, so you can make smart moves in February and April 2026. If this helped, like the video, subscribe to US Policy Brief, and comment with topic you want next from Fernando. If you hear claims about March deadlines for SBA loans, do not assume they are universal without reading guidance carefully. SBA rules are published, and lenders also add overlays, so 2 banks can give different answers on the same day. If a lender says citizens only, ask whether lawful permanent residents qualify under the underlying program and request the citation. Then compare options, because state programs, private loans, and secured lines of credit may fund growth without citizenship limits too. Do not underestimate relationship banking, because a strong deposit history and clean bookkeeping can beat strict checkboxes in practice often. If you are an entrepreneur, treat financing as strategy, not entitlement, and build redundancy so one rule cannot crush you. For travel, a common question is whether visiting certain countries automatically creates problems, and the answer is usually no, alone. However, if a country is under heightened scrutiny, your entry could take longer, so plan your itinerary with flexibility built. Avoid same-day connections after international arrivals, because secondary inspection can last hours and airlines will not compensate you automatically. If you travel for urgent reasons, carry an explanation letter, supporting documents, and proof you will return to U.S. residence. Evidence can include a lease, mortgage statement, job letter, school enrollment for children, and recent tax filing proof copies too. The goal is to show you are visiting, not relocating, and that the center of your life remains in America. If an officer questions abandonment, remember they often look at patterns, like spending more days abroad than inside the U.S. They may ask where you live, where you work, and where your family stays, so answer consistently and truthfully Always. If you moved, update your address with USCIS and keep proof, because old addresses can look like you left permanently. Some officers may offer Form I-407, which is a voluntary abandonment, and signing it is rarely in your interest. You can refuse to sign, ask for review, and request to see a judge, though the process can be stressful. If you face that situation, a calm posture and strong documents often matter more than arguments, and time helps nobody. On public charge, applicants should understand that the sponsor form is a contract, and weak income can trigger delays later. If you are adjusting status, avoid unnecessary benefit use unless you have clear eligibility, and keep records showing lawful qualification. Public charge rules do not mean you cannot get care, but they do mean you should not sign up casually. If a relative sponsored you, protect them too, because agencies can question household size, income, and whether support is reliable. For current green card holders, using benefits you qualify for is legal, but false claims or identity misuse are dangerous. If you are unsure, ask an attorney or accredited representative, because the cost of one wrong step can be permanent. The moment many residents discover old issues is during naturalization, because USCIS revisits your full immigration record again carefully now. If your green card came through marriage, be ready to explain the history, provide joint evidence, and address any discrepancies. If your green card came through employment, keep records and confirm the role matched the petition if you changed employers. If you had any arrest before residency, get certified court dispositions, because officers want official outcomes, not memories on paper. The goal is not to scare you away from citizenship, but to encourage preparation so you don't trigger delays. Many people qualify and succeed, and filing can still be wise, but you should file when your record is clear. Some people feel policies are designed to push permanent residents towards citizenship, because citizens are easier to categorize and track. Others believe it is about deterrence and public messaging, making life inconvenient to discourage migration and political criticism today, too. Whatever the motive, you cannot control the rhetoric, but you can control compliance and documents that prove your life here. If you keep strong ties, like a home, job, community, and tax filing, you make your case easy to understand. If you drift into living abroad, working abroad, or filing taxes as a non-resident, you create contradictions that invite scrutiny. This is why the boring habits we discussed matter, because they protect you when policies become louder than usual again. People ask about domestic travel, and there is no general rule blocking green card holders from flying inside the U.S. You still should carry your green card, because identity checks happen, and replacement can take months if you lose it. If you move states, learn that DMV rules differ, and driving problems can create records that show up in screening. Avoid unpaid tickets, avoid driving without insurance, and avoid driving on a suspended license, because those spiral quickly for anyone. Domestic stability matters to immigration officers, because responsibility is part of discretionary decisions, even when the underlying rule is technical. So if you hear claims that you are banned from life activities, step back, verify, and ask what law changed. The best way to stay safe is to use official sources, not clips, because agencies publish guidance when rules change. For business topics, check SBA and lender notices. For travel, check CBP guidance and State Department advisories, and keep screenshots. For green card applications, rely on USCIS forms and policy manual updates, because third-party summaries often miss exceptions important. And when you see a claim with a date, ask one question: where is the document that created that deadline? If nobody can show it, treat it as a rumor, and do not restructure your life around it in fear. If the document exists, read it slowly, confirm whether it applies to green card holders, applicants, or only specific programs. I want to end with reassurance, Most permanent residents live normally, travel normally, and return normally without any trouble today. Most business owners still find financing, most travelers pass inspection, and most applicants get approved when they submit strong files. I make these videos to protect the few who get surprised, because one surprise can create years of delay alone. If you learned one new thing, you are already ahead, and you can share that advantage with your family today. In the coming months, I will keep tracking confirmed updates, and I will tell you what is verified versus rumor. That is the mission of US Policy Brief, and Fernando will show you how to protect your status carefully today. If you want more updates like this, subscribe to US Policy Brief, because we publish practical immigration guidance throughout 2026. Click like if you found value, because it helps other green card holders find calm information instead of fear online. Leave a comment with your question, especially about travel, business, or citizenship planning, and I will cover it next week. Do not share private case numbers publicly, but you can share the general issue so others learn from the discussion. Thank you for trusting Fernando. And remember that preparation beats rumors, so keep your documents updated and your mind steady. Stay safe, stay informed, and I will see you in the next US Policy Brief update soon for more clarity.